Speak kingdom language.
Who bold enough to tell me about myself? I be embarrassed and laughing at the same time because people say, "God, Father,
breakthrough it changes for you."
I took Uber and there was a guy talking about he didn't believe in Jesus. And I said, yeah, there we go, Lord. You put me in here for this? And he was one of those militant brothers about the black man, the white man.
Yeah.
All that, right? And so he had to take me back to get my car. So I said, Lord, you the one. So I talked to him, listened to him. After he finished talking, I began to tell him about my Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you about it because I know it. I'm not telling you from a state of religion because I'm not about religion. I'm about the relationship I have.
Yes.
I'm not about a white man. Religion. Jesus is not white. He is a savior. He redeemed us. He saved us. He healed us. He delivered us.
Hi. Good evening, everyone. Good night to all of you guys out there, ladies and gentlemen. We're back for another episode on Kingdom Language Utterance with your host, me, Minister Latora M.T. McPhee, coming to you live on KLU. I'm excited about our show tonight. Well, really, I'm excited about all the shows like this month. As you know, October is Mental Health Awareness Month. And so again, some of you guys know my story, others don't, but mental health awareness is very, very near and dear to me and close to my heart. And so again, before I get started, I want to say thank you to those that's watching KLU. Again, this is a show that we come to you with encouragement, inspiration, with practical information, biblical information, to show the love of God, to share the gospel, and to have conversation and dialogue about everyday topics and life journeys. So welcome. And I'm glad that you're here once again, rocking with me tonight on another episode. And I'm excited about what we're going to discuss tonight. For those who are here, please put it in the chat where you are streaming from. Let us know that you're there. Again, I'm excited that you're here joining us. So let's get right into it because I don't want to keep this show going because I have such an amazing guest that's going to be on tonight. That is so amazingly. She's so graceful. She is so sweet. She is so knowledgeable. Y'all, she legit. She legit, y'all. She's licensed. Legit, right? But anyway, so I just want to share a little bit about why I feel like it's important to have these discussions because, again, with my story, some people already know that I came from a background of a lot of trauma. I had a lot of trauma in my life, a lot of things that happened to me when I was growing up that had me dealing with a lot of internal situations where growing up, I became very isolated. My family didn't know, but there were things that I was dealing with as a teenager, all the way up to my young adult and my middle 20s that I dealt with. I dealt with being a cutter. I dealt with bulimia. I dealt with suicidal ideations. There were a time when I was admitted to a mental health institution for a 24-hour watch because, again, I was trying to kill myself. So I dealt with a lot of different things growing up. And so for me, mental health is very close to my heart because when somebody that has such a deep seated dark past in childhood, then if it's not dealt with and you're not working through your process or working through them problems and you don't have a strong support system, which is something that we're going to definitely talk about today, it causes you to find ways to deal with things on your own. And so one thing I always wanted to do was to push mental health awareness because there's so many people that are going through things and they feel like they're alone and they don't need to be alone. in and outside the brick and mortar church, as well as in the world setting, in the marketplace and in different families. So with that being said, I want to jump right into it tonight to introduce my guest that's going to be on the show. She is amazing, y'all. Her name is Mrs. Crystal Clark. And a little bit about her that I want to let you know about her credentials, because she has credentials, y'all. Okay, she has credentials. Okay, again, she ain't no rinky dink little play person. She is a licensed mental health counselor and owner of Growing Through Changes Therapy. She graduated from Troy University with her master's in counseling psychology and has a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. She has been in the mental health field for 15 plus years, you all, and counseling for almost 10 years. Crystal has worked with a variety of populations to include at-risk youth, homeless families, DJJ, DCF, veterans, Department of Corrections, DOC, community corrections, addictions, co-occurring disorders, and severe mental health. Right? So with her, she has her own company, you guys, and so she knows all about mental health. She's been in, like I said, she has all of these years under her belt, and I'm just excited to dive into this conversation with her. And so I'm not going to take up any more time. I'm going to bring her in. So, guys, I want you to welcome my guest for tonight on Kingdom Language Utterance, Mrs. Crystal Clark.
Hello. I hope I can live up to the words that you spoke of me.
I keep forgetting to bring her on I'm gonna get one day my little. Oh my God, Crystal, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to grace this platform, Kingdom Language Utterance. I'm excited for you being here tonight. I hope you are as well. We're so happy to have you. My sister's already in the chat saying, Crystal, hey!
Hey, girl.
And so, to jump right in and get started, I want you to first tell our viewers, because I know you have all of these years under your belt. And like I tell people all the time, there's usually a lot of people going to certain professions because of what they've been through. It could be like a life story, whether it's them, a loved one, or something that happened that will push them into going into the profession, like I have with counseling because of my life story. So what was that turning point that pushed you to say, hey, let me go into mental health?
Well, so it started with corrections. My older brother, who is deceased now, he was in and out of prisons. So I was like, let me go into corrections. So I want to see what it was going on the inside to help on the outside, and of course, mental health is a lot of the issues in corrections, because if there's a substance use issue or a mental health issue, unfortunately, among people of color, they don't get rehab; they get prison. So that's where it started at. Then I'm from Denver, Colorado. So when I moved out here to Florida in 2007, I seen that everything was the social work sector, like kids, DCF, and things like that. So I had to change from corrections and started to get into the social work sector. So once I was in the social work sector, I was a case manager. I didn't have my master's, or I wasn't even thinking about being licensed at that time. I was working with at-risk youth that are going to age out of foster care. And there was this counselor that was just real singy. You guys, it's going to be okay, and things like that. And I was like, they need somebody to be real with them, because singing is not going to help you survive. I'm sorry. It's just not. So I wanted to help and be real and truthful with people. And that's the reason why I went into the mental health profession.
Wow, that is amazing. That is good. You said something about how a lot of certain population, like sometimes you don't even get a chance. Like you just go straight for they just go straight for the throat and give you the big
Yeah.
load stuff. And so one thing I want to start off the conversation with, do you believe that let's start off with this. What would you say would be the main issue that we are facing in today's society when in regards to mental health?
Um, I really feel like the today's issue is probably our younger population, to be honest with you. With the social medias and things like that, like it's just constant. It never stops. So if you're being bullied at school, it carries on to social media. So when do you have a break from, you know, the people that are talking about you and things like that? You don't get a
Mm,
break because
mm,
it's constantly going. Not to mention, I just really feel like our young people are exposed to a lot more than we were when we were growing up, and that you know contributes to the mental health, as well as I just don't feel like the mental kids are mentally equipped for a lot of stuff that's going on in life. However, trying to navigate the best that they can.
yeah.
That's what I feel like our major struggle is right now. Also, I feel like COVID played a huge part, huge
Mm,
part. I know a lot of people struggled during COVID with their jobs, but the mental health was booming. I had to turn people away because
wow.
you
Wow.
were at home sitting with your thoughts. So
Wow.
guess what? You can think of the woulda, couldas, and shouldas, and that was hard for a lot of people.
Mm. Mm. So you think a lot of some of those mental health problems even coming back from COVID was because people were so busy with the things of life that they didn't have a chance to really sit down and really process who they are, what they really want, what's going on. And so with COVID happening, it made everything stop for everybody where you didn't have a choice but to think about your life and where you and who you really are, or who you're partner with. I know you told me that you do couples counseling and different things like that. And so, coming out of COVID, a lot of people divorced and had a lot of issues and had
Hmm.
a lot of mental trauma coming out of that because they were so busy with life that when that happened, it was like, wow, well, what do we do now?
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
That's a whole lot of it. And then unfortunately, what I'm seeing around among the black women is a lot of childhood trauma coming out now.
Hmm.
That's a lot of my black women that come to see me for counseling. Most of them is because of childhood trauma.
Hmm. And do you think that because and I know we don't want to make this like a black or white thing, but we sometimes you got to address the elephant in the room, right? Because
Yeah.
do you agree about the whole thing about the black woman have to always be strong and always got to have this sense of you got to have your stuff together, or you don't tell business outside of the house, or you just deal with things. So then for that population, even in the islands, because I'm Bahamian, and so with island people, we're not groomed to say, hey, if you have anxiety or these are like new age, like like verbiage like anxiety and stress and all these other things and mental health. And do you think that we're so built to always having to be strong that our mental health goes to the side, or it's just not even considered because of our
Hmm.
population or the community that we're in, that we are so shown as being weak, or like they said, the what's the word, the inferior group, so we always have to make ourselves be strong even though we need help.
I definitely do know for sure that contributes a lot to mental health. Black women, being that we have to be strong, we're the backbone of most of our families. We're the backbone in a lot of our relationships, and instead of saying I was depressed or I was anxious, Black women said, "Oh, I'm stressed out. Oh, I got too much on my plate." Not identifying that you possibly have mental health issues.
Yeah.
So we put stuff on the shelf because we don't have time to deal with it, you know. And so you compartmentalize a lot because I mean, I'll tell you for myself, day to day, I don't have time to deal with a lot of stuff that I may be having going on in my life. So guess what I do? I put it on the shelf. And we think that it'll never come back, but it always comes back. Always comes back.
So, in regards to that, when should an individual reach out for help, like to seek a therapist? Like, what should be the best? Should we wait until we can't, like, we break down and can't, when the signs really come out and we explode or implode and everybody can see it? Like, when should we seek out help?
Well, honestly, I really think it all depends on the person. I feel like a lot of people that don't have a support system definitely need to seek out help because who's your emotional outlet? You don't have an emotional outlet. So a lot of things kind of go unsaid and go undone. Now, some people that have a strong support system, maybe a little bit longer, they can wait before they have to go reach out to a therapist, or they may not even have to reach out to a therapist. There's self-help books and things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, the issue that I have a lot with people seeking help is that a lot of times they want a quick fix. So they go on medication. I'm not knocking medication. I'm not knocking it at all. But if you are depressed and you go on a medication and your medical doctor gives you this medication, who's monitoring that your depression is decreasing or increasing?
That's true.
Nobody. But you think that is a quick fix. But unfortunately, there's a larger percentage of people that quit medication before they quit therapy. So medication, when they go on this antidepressants and things like that, like I said, they want a quick fix, but it doesn't happen like that. So you feel like it's not working, so I quit. And you never get back to it, But even with therapy, people do that. I don't like my therapist, I quit and just stop doing therapy. like depression goes away because you don't like your therapist. That's just not how things work.
Yeah.
So I really think it just really depends on the person, But I will say, like I said, if you have a strong support system, a lot of these problems that we're talking about, people have, but we might not see as much because they have that person to talk with.
Yeah. 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 And I'm seeing in the comments here, Judy, she said, not knowing the words or the signs because of an ethnicity, we just learn to handle it, which is very true. We'll always tell to pull. That's why I don't like when people say, pull yourself up by your bootstrap and plant your feet flat footed and take and do it and just do it. And I'll be like, wait, hold on. Like, I feel like people don't realize that when somebody get to that point, how much more should a person take and keep going before they need help? Like, if you've been strong for so long and you're telling me to pick up my boots and tie it up and and get up and go and just be strong and do it, like, you don't know how long that person been strong though. Like, so I just hate when people say that. Like, just deal with it. Like, if somebody lose someone and they're grieving, it's like, oh, just get over it. Like, I just hate when people say just get over it, because
I
we
hate
can
it
go
too.
through the
I
same
hate it too.
thing, but we may not experience it the same way.
I agree 120%. And like Judy said, we just handle our situations and we just say it's stressed, or I got too much going on in my life, that's it. And but we're not able to identify what anxiety and depression actually looks like, because we have already identified it as stress, and that's not exactly what it is. And like you said, we are so strong. It's more than just strong. We're also silent. So we don't let a lot of people in on what we got going on. I mean, for the mothers out there and even people that are not mothers, I mean, I put on a costume. I might be feeling bad and sad, but I put on a costume every single day,
Mm,
because I don't want my child to see me sad and down, you
yeah.
know, or I get on the phone with my mother and I pretend like everything's great, even
Mm-hmm.
though I'm crying on the inside. But we find ourselves being so strong for everybody, so we just kind of stay silent because we don't want to see anybody else down.
So silence is the culprit to our downfall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And
Strong and silent.
yes, I know, right? Be quiet. Just
Strong and
be
silent.
quiet.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's something that you mentioned about support system. Um, I know for one, for me, the support system was a big thing of why I found myself going downhill. Do you say the support system is one of the main contributing factors why a lot of people are not um apt to go seek help or even know where to go or how, because they find the medication and just giving up and just letting it all go?
Well, like we mentioned before, I don't want to make it a black or white thing, but a lot of it is, yes, the support system, but also the lack of resources,
Mm,
and the stigmas and the mistrust that we have amongst the medical field and the mental
yeah,
health field. I
yeah.
mean, history shows that we have been made test rats.
Mm,
Um, with the Tuskegee
yeah.
Airmen and the syphilis and black women over time. I've even seen it myself where black women are misdiagnosed or
Mm,
have surgeries that they don't even need. You
yeah.
know, those are the things that prevent us from wanting to go get help. Or, let's be honest, back in the day, you have this white social worker or white therapist, and you mention something about your kids and it gets misconstrued because they don't understand you. And now you got DCF knocking at your door.
Ah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
the trust is not there, so it's hard to seek help when you don't trust anybody to seek help from
Yeah.
because they don't look like you.
Yeah. Representation. Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
representation is a
Yeah.
lot. I did an article a couple weeks ago about the lack of representation with people of color, the therapists. To be honest with you, the last study I seen, there's 2% psychiatrists of people that identify as black, and 45% of psychologists and therapists that identify as black in the field. That's
Wow.
little, very
Wow.
very small numbers.
Wow.
And there's 13 million blacks in the world, supposedly 13%, I mean, blacks in the world, even though that's a misrepresentation as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't we're not out there. But let me tell you why we're not out there. We had that career fair,
Yeah.
and I ran
Yeah.
around and I asked every college. I promise you, I would ask every college. And I said, do you guys not have any social work or psychology, or counseling?
Yeah.
Do you guys don't have that? They said, yeah, we have it, but being that it's this, it's a master's program, so we don't really, bring it to the career fairs, or we don't really, market it
Oh,
because it's a
wow.
master's program. But I'm like, well, you got to get your bachelor's before you get your master's.
Yeah.
So you don't even market like social work or psychology to where these people can identify, like, oh, I want to be a psychologist, I want to be a social worker. But
Mm.
why would you say you want to do that when all you see is nurses, teachers,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's what you go into too, because that's what you're seeing. There's no advertisement. Have you ever seen an advertisement on TV about being a mental health counselor?
You're right.
Absolutely not.
You're right.
Never.
You're
Never.
right. You're right.
So as long as we don't have a market and no advertisement, our number is going to stay low because of
Mm.
the stigma, and because nobody really knows until you know.
Wow. And I feel like we need it so much more than ever before because it's like, it seems like year by year, the numbers are growing with, I mean, suicidal rates, even amongst the youth. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
like, and then again, going back to that social media, which I feel, and I'm doing a study on that for research in my research class. And I feel like sometimes social media is one of the culprits for disconnection in relationships, and so
Agreed.
a lot of the mental health. I don't know if you would agree with me, but I feel like a lot of the mental health is coming from disconnections. Like there's not a lot of connections or interactions with authentic and healthy relationships. Put it like that, because I feel like you can know a lot of people, you can have a lot of relationships with different people, but a lot of those relationships may not be healthy.
Agreed. I agree
And
100%.
so
I
what
agree.
that does is that it takes away from a person giving and being who they truly are for people who really don't care for, like, it's like for who you
Yeah,
are
you're
as
right.
a person. And then the trauma happens over and over again, because again, like you said, coming back from youth, when somebody deal with trauma and their youth of always trying to meet up to what mommy and daddy say, or always trying to fulfill, or be like first, if you're the first one to graduate in your family,
Yep.
or you're the first, it's like all of these extra pressures within the family sector and in the social sector. It just makes it so difficult for you to just say, okay, to be at peace, to have some kind of mental stability. So
Yeah, because there's too much going on, and it's really, like I said, when it's totally in your face all the time. Where do you find peace at?
yeah.
I mean, it's on our phones, it's on our computers, it's everywhere. So you don't, unless you have some willpower and says, I'm not looking at this today, or I'm turning off Facebook, TikTok, whatever you're on, then
Hmm.
you constantly are seeing mental health people. I go through my Facebook all the time, and I'm like, man, she really needs a mental health evaluation. Just
Hmm.
expressive of their stuff that's on Facebook.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I get it. Everybody needs an outlet. And unfortunately, they're putting their outlet, making their outlet on social media.
Yeah.
However, this is another downfall. However, people are, probably like, oh, she's tripping, or that relationship's toxic. But nobody is reaching out and say, hey, maybe you should try to call a counselor, or hey,
Mm.
here's some resources for you. No, we're gonna talk about the people.
Yeah.
We're not gonna help them. We're gonna talk about them. And
Yeah.
that's another thing that keeps us the low man on the totem pole when it comes to Black people.
Yeah. 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 So what can someone do to seek help for a loved one or a friend without being intrusive? So say if a friend, I have a friend that's going through something and they really don't seem to want help or whatever, but I'm really, concerned about their well-being or their health. Like, what can I do to kind of, without being, against their will or intrusive, what can I do to get them some help?
Well, I think a lot of it is education too.
Hmm.
So if I'm able to tell you, like, okay, I've seen a counselor before and it helped me with my grief. Here, reach out to this person. However, help until they get help, and you
Hmm.
can't push them to get help. I mean, I worked in the rehab for 4 years, and it was a revolving door because none of them people really wanted help. You know,
Hmm.
and so it until they're done and they were like, I don't want to do this no more, then you don't get help. However, if you feel like it's severe enough, of course I will probably call 911 and get them admitted if you think it's severe enough, like they're attempting suicide or they have suicidal ideations, because the last thing that you will want on your mind is that, is my friend gonna be okay tonight?
Yeah. 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 That's good. That's good. So in regards to that, you were talking about, oh my gosh, there was something you said that was so good. Um, oh my God, and it slipped my mind. Oh my gosh. And it come back to me and it was like literally in my head. And I'm like, oh, that's so good. But going to the comments, someone said, talk to them, be open, respectful, and provide them with resources, but it goes back to the individual. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, sometimes I guess you can love somebody so much and you can give them all the resources, but they have to be the one. It's almost like that show Intervention.
Yeah,
And you
yeah,
bring family in. I feel like it's almost like that person may feel like you taking their power away from them. Like, how are you gonna tell me, dude?
right,
I don't want
right,
this. But at the same time, it's like I want to help you though.
right, right. But it's funny that you say that and you mentioned intervention, because that's one thing that I've learned in this field dealing with mental health and substance abuse. People use substances to feel something or to feel nothing.
Mm, mm,
So I mean, it's one of those questions when it comes to substance abuse. What came first, the chicken or the egg?
yeah,
Did I have depression and started using
yeah,
drugs, or did
mm,
I start using drugs and now I have depression? A lot of this kind of goes hand in hand. And then when it comes to substance abuse, you know, a lot of substances may have saved somebody's life. So now I feel
mm,
nothing. So I'm not going to go kill myself because of what my stepfather did to me or what my brother or cousins or whatever did to me,
yeah,
because now I'm numb. So it just
yeah,
gives me that much more time, even though I'm killing some other part of me. However, my mental, I put that on stop, pause for
yeah,
right now.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. I want to go back to this when you talked about medication doesn't fix the problem, it suppresses it. I know at that time, I remember when I went through that stage when after I came out the mental institution, they send me off with some medications. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like sometimes they make it worse because I felt like I got more depressed being
Mm-hmm.
on on the pills. And so it's like I feel like sometimes and again, like you said, you're not telling people not to take their medication, right? Like, don't take your medication if you need it, because there are some chemical imbalance. And I think at one time
Mm-hmm.
somebody told me, hey, you probably going through some chemical imbalance, like that's why you up 1 minute, the next minute you're down, like literally in the split like of a second, I'll be up
Yeah.
1 minute and then something would hit my mind and it would turn me into a whole depression. I remember I was at a friend's party and I was the problem that made it go sour because I started crying and I don't know
Oh,
why I was
wow.
depressed. It was just weird. And I'm like, what is going on with me? But and then somebody told me maybe you going through some chemical imbalance, and I didn't know what
Right.
that meant. But being on the medication kind of make it worse for me. I found myself more depressed and going through more stuff. And so, like you said, sometimes being able to get it out and talk it out and get it, that's why words have power. Like it says, out of the Bible talks about out of the heart flows the issues of life. And so when
Yes.
you're able to get all of that stuff out of you, because especially if you're someone that's holding years of pain, years of and I'm something I want to talk about that we're going to get into in a minute about the church and mental health. But a lot of times I feel like people think, you know, that people comes and they're possessed and they demon possessed
Yep.
and they got all of these spirits. Yes, I'm going to the church house tonight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we talk about, people need to be delivered and they need to do all of this stuff, but it's not really a spirit that's possessing them. Some people are just literally just carrying around pain. It's just
Yeah.
it's just pain and not being able to be seen or heard. And until that person get a moment for somebody just to listen to everything that they have to say and get it out, to have some kind of relief of holding all of these secrets and all of these pains and all of these traumas, then that's when deliverance can come. And so,
absolutely.
I mean, and it's sad to say that the church has this taboo about how, you know, now it's getting more frequent. We're seeing it more in a lot of different ministries where they're talking about it more, but being in the church sector where it's always, you know, you need to get deliverance, you need to put the oil on you and get saved. And it's like, no. You need to go see a therapist. And that don't mean you ain't love Jesus. That don't mean
Right. It doesn't mean that at all. It doesn't mean that at all. But, you know, the one thing, you're right, the church, you know, pray about it. Those are our other stigmas. You know, you're depressed, you must be crazy, and all that kind of stuff. So, in prayer, you know, back in the day was the only thing that supposedly fixed it. So can you imagine how many people run around still with mental health issues because prayer didn't fix it? You know, because I talk to people that will love a spiritual counselor, and I
Yeah.
am spiritual.
Yeah.
And I tell them all the time, you know, why did God create counselors if all you needed to do is pray?
Yeah.
Just saying.
Because I'm just, you know, and then another thing to add to that we can address is a lot of times there are a lot of people that come to the church whole, but get broken while they're there. So
Sure
what do
is.
you do with the ones that come ready and whole and healed and healthy, but then leave broken, damaged, verbally abused, emotionally abused, mentally abused, by thinking that they're staying because they're serving the Lord or they're loving the Lord or this is what you're supposed to do? And it's not to come against the church or anything, but there is a lot of mental health sicknesses and things that's going on in the church that we're overlooking. There's a lot of abuse that's going on that we're not talking about. So then when people leave and go from one place to another, and you wonder why somebody feel uncomfortable when they come around certain gathering and spaces, and you looking at them crazy, like, why you so uptight, or she always flipping out, or she always isolating herself, or 1 minute she and the next minute she don't want to be a part of us or whatever. But you don't know the level of trauma a person have went through from the location they came from. And so that's why it's important. Like, even with me, I had to go to therapy. Like, because I just know I wasn't going to survive being around no kind of church person. If I'd ever got around another church person, I probably would have fought. But I was like, I needed to go to therapy because I needed to, like, because again, if it's all in the building, if it's all in the brick and mortar, then why was Jesus not only in the synagogue? You understand? Like, Luke was a physician.
That part.
You understand? Luke, one of the disciples, was a physician. And again, this is not taking away my believers, my brothers and sisters in the Lord. This is not taken away from deliverance. This is not taken away saying that spirits, demons, whatever, don't exist. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about there are some people, yeah, that's possessed. I know. I've seen it manifested plenty of times when I was in ministry. But I'm not negating the fact of the spiritual world, which is real. I'm talking about the inner man of a person. The Bible talks a lot about mental health. There are a lot of scriptures that talks about mental health. And so, I mean, when you think about scriptures like when the Bible say God is not giving us a spirit of fear, or he will never leave you and not forsake you, or don't be anxious for anything. Anxious is having anxiety, or, a hope deferred make a heart sick. Somebody that's been waiting for their blessings for so long to the point where they got tired of waiting and their heart became sick. And now they're looking for some solution to heal their heart. And sometimes maybe you going to talk to somebody and you laying hands on them and saying the scripture, not saying that there's not powers in the scripture, but with that need to come some practicality. So
Agreed. I agree 100%. You know, like you said, recently some churches have, been putting mental health resources out there and letting people know, I mean, you do need mental health, and probably because a lot of it, this COVID stuff.
Mm.
However, another thing about the churches, like, it is it's very difficult, especially if it's your family church. It is
Oh yeah,
very difficult
yeah.
to communicate anything that you know that's going to get back around. Not to mention, because let's be honest, that people
Yeah,
gossip. It doesn't at church, at
you're right.
home, everywhere. People
Yeah,
gossip. So a lot of times, people that are using church as an emotional outlet, are you really, getting lifted if it's coming back around to you? Oh, well, pastor told me that you was depressed because of this, that, and the other.
uh,
You get what I'm
yeah,
saying? So
yeah,
it's almost like where do I find my peace at?
yeah,
And I mean, I'm very faithful and I'm a very spiritual person, but I also feel like church is in the heart. It doesn't
mm,
necessarily have to be a building, and most importantly, God wants you to have a relationship with Him, not
yeah,
necessarily just pray and read script. You got to have a relationship.
yes,
You got to hold His hand. Like, where
yeah,
we going? You
yeah,
can't just, say, okay, I'm feeling depressed, so I'm gonna go to church today. Like, depression's gonna go away because you went to church. Just
yeah,
like depression's not going away if you go see a therapist one time. It's not
yeah,
going away. And
yeah,
it's definitely not going away if you taking medication. People
yeah.
get that misconstrued too. Medication does not take away depression, anxiety. It takes away the symptoms. That's it.
Mm,
You have to get yourself out of the depression and anxiety. And unfortunately, the only way, or maybe fortunately, the only way that you're going to get yourself out of that is if you talk about it. So if you're not talking about it and you don't have an emotional outlet or somebody that you're conversing with, how are you going to ever know? Well, I
yeah.
prayed about it, so I'm not anxious today.
Mhm,
No,
mhm,
no. How you know you're not anxious?
mhm,
And that
mhm.
goes back to what Judah said. We don't even know how to identify these mental health issues.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think we can learn a lot from, and especially for us believers, we can learn a lot about how God does things, because
Mm-hmm.
they call him the wonderful counselor. Like, I've noticed that stories, not stories, but life journeys and different things I read in the Bible, because to me they're real people. Um, God had conversations with them. Like, if you really realize, yes, Daniel prayed. There were people that prayed and different things like that, cry out and whatever. But a lot of deliverance, a lot of different things that went on came from a conversation that God had with people. And so that tells you a lot about, until you're able to talk about it and you're able to dialogue and you're able to exchange, like,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the deliverance that we really need is in a conversation. That's like building a relationship with somebody. You can't build a relationship with somebody if you don't communicate.
True.
You
Absolutely.
understand? So, and like
Yeah.
you said, it's true. It's not one time. It's like, I can't just have a therapist today and then say, okay, like you said, people want a quick fix. I think a lot of time we want a quick fix because we just want to get rid of the feeling from the pain. We just need to just get that. I just don't want to feel this way no more. But your feeling don't mean that you're free
Yeah.
from the
Yeah.
situation. You can feel good in the moment. Anybody, I can go to the movies to feel good if I'm feeling down. But that doesn't mean I've dealt with the root of the situation. And so with you telling us that being able to go to a mental health counselor, a therapist, or somebody that you can talk to, it's not just a one day thing. This is a journey.
It sure is. It sure is.
This,
A lot of my clients are very long term. I've been seeing them for 2+ years
wow.
because it doesn't end. Like, I mean, it's no difference if you're diabetic. You know what I'm saying? Okay, my A1C is low this time. That doesn't mean I stop taking my medicine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's how you have to look at mental health. You have to look at it as, this is my medication, or my self-care. You
Yeah.
know, a lot of people don't even know what self-care is,
Yeah.
you know, because
Mhm.
especially women, because we go, 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 you
Yeah.
know. And I mean, what's the good of a Bentley if you don't have no gas? You just
Ah,
gonna sit there and look pretty, but you ain't got nothing to you because you just a shell because you're not going anywhere. Not going anywhere.
come on. Come on.
Just
That's
just
good right
just
there.
saying. I
That's
mean,
good.
you have to get mental health. I mean, I've been to counseling. You know, if you need to talk to somebody that's not biased, it's best that you go to counseling. You
Yeah.
know, because
Yeah.
people, let's just be real. Your family is going to be biased most of the time. Your friends are going to be biased most of the time. You know, we don't even know if we got true friends sometimes, you know. So you've been and told them something and it came back to you like, dang, you know, I thought I told this in confidence. Not really, you know. So I mean, been there,
It
had to
always
learn that
start
hard
with
way
that,
as
girl,
well.
I got something to tell you. Don't tell nobody else.
Yeah.
Then go to the next person. Girl, I got to tell you something. Don't tell nobody else. Before you know it, everybody know. Be like, I told
So
you
guess
not to tell nobody.
so you stop talking. So who now? So now who is your dialogue with? Because you're
Yeah.
no longer talking to your friends because apparently they're telling your business, and even
Yeah.
sometimes your family's telling your business.
Yeah. Come
You
on.
know. So, but when you talking to a counselor, I don't know you from Adam. I don't know
Yeah.
anything about you. I don't know your family. Only thing I know about you is what you tell me.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever you tell me, I promise you, I'm not about to go look for your friends and family and say, "Hey, Latour then told me this." I promise you. I promise you. And this thing that Judah just said, that life and death is in the power of the tongue,
Yep.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I also tell people all the time, you are responsible for your own happiness.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're looking for a person, place, or a thing to make you happy, not gonna happen. Not
Mm.
gonna happen. You
Mm.
know, happiness is on the inside. You know, and like I tell, like a lot of teens, I have these issues with these teenagers. You know, well, I'm depressed, and this isn't going this way, and this is not going right, and it's the end of the world. But I'm like, okay, so do you want to go right? You know, what do you want to change? Because
Mm.
until you want to make that change, until you decide in your mind, I'm going to be positive and I'm going to be happy. Guess
That's
what?
right.
You're not. You're going to be a sour. You're just going to be sour. A
Wow.
sourpuss, just on the log, being upset because you chose to be upset.
Ooh.
That's all of these are choices. You
Ooh.
choose to do a lot of this stuff. You know,
Mm.
don't get me wrong. Some people, contribute to the choice, but for the most part, you choose. You know,
Yeah.
I've been having a lot of stress at work and in my life, but I choose to say I'm gonna come in here with a smile on my face. You know, because
Right.
I don't like how tension feels, and I don't like how unhappiness feels.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have to make positive choices and positive changes in your life, you know,
Yeah.
and a lot of times, unfortunately or fortunately, you need help from somebody.
Yeah.
Because I don't some of my people, if I don't even diagnose them if they're not insurance. If they private pay, I don't never diagnose my clients.
Mm.
I just come in and it's just a conversation, you know,
Yeah.
and I talk to my clients just like I talk to you every day. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not uppity and I don't have these special terms or anything like that. I just talk to you where you're at, you
Yeah.
know. And I've had lawyers and doctors that I did have to come up there, and I've had people that gang members and drug addicts that I had to go to the bottom, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And that's what therapy does. It meets you where
Mm.
you're at. You know
Mm.
what I'm saying? And it helps you figure things out. I tell people all the time, I not advice. I give suggestions. You got to make your own decisions. I'm just here to help you make that decision. I do not give advice.
You know what? I so like that
Yep.
because oh, that's so good. That's so good is because two things you said. And I feel like one thing that you're sounding a brass on is that with all of that, with all of your clients, it's like you're like that scripture in the Bible talks about being all things to all men. Like you're knowing how to deal with different, like if you're not a person that's versatile where you're able to be, I always use this when Paul was, I believe it was Paul, right? Yeah, I think it was Paul, because I was in the prison and the prison shook open and whatever. God allowed Paul not only to minister to the prisoners but also to the prison guard. So if you're not, because God is the God of the prisoner and the prison guard, believe it or not. So at the end of the day, if you're not able to be a light or be available for the person that is in the palace, just as the person that's in the pigsty,
Right.
then what are we doing? Like if you're living your life to be a person to give up yourself and to be, it's not, because you never know where God will use
That's
you
true.
for whoever.
That's true.
You understand?
That's
You got to
true.
be able to get out of yourself to be able to use what you've been through to give and relate and help somebody else. And it don't matter what
Agreed.
title or what economic status they have. Because for me, it's like if I have a student that comes in my office and their parent is the president, I'm not going to treat you no better than the student that lives in the hood.
Right.
Because
And
at
you
the end of
should.
the day, you both, I'm trying to get you graduated. so
That's true.
that
That's
point,
absolutely
right? Because
true.
you both have a future, regardless. You just because you being a president child don't make you better having a future than somebody else who's come from the hood. You understand? So I like the fact that you're able to be versatile and be able to help anybody from any level, and that's what we need as therapists. And also, I love the fact that you say it's your choice. It's your choice to get mad. And I don't think a lot of people, even me at one point, I know we do a lot of blaming and a lot of
Right.
throwing stuff on other people like, oh, you made me mad, or you
Yeah, that's true.
whatever. But like you said, actuality is, it is true. And I was saying this when I was doing groups this week. One of the things we talked about, the topics was boundaries, healthy boundaries. And I'm like, no one that comes in your world takes your power without you giving it to them.
That's right. That's right.
So if somebody come into your space, you make the decision where they get to remain there or they get to be dismissed.
That's
And I,
true. I
I
agree.
feel like
I agree.
I think that would help a lot. And it's not even to be selfish or anything, but like you said, like, why should I allow somebody come in my life and make me mad? Like, how do you get to make me mad? Like, you
That's
have
true.
that much control and power over me for me to say that, oh, you make me sick.
Right. And people do it all day, every day. All day, every day. And that goes right back to you blaming, though. You're still blaming. You're blaming
Yeah,
somebody for your own emotions, you
yeah.
know. And people get it all misconstrued about self-esteem. I have low self-esteem because of this. I have low self. It's self-esteem. It's
Mm-hmm.
self. It's about yourself. You know,
Mm-hmm.
outsiders don't make your self-esteem low.
Mm-hmm.
You weak-minded allows for self-esteem to go low. Things that you've been through personally allows for your self-esteem to go low. People don't understand that, because in our mind it's easy to say Latoya made me mad, or Latoya is making me sick, or Latoya hurt our feelings, because guess what? That's our blame game, and that's what we're going to always do. It's an easy fix. I mean, just like a addict saying, yeah, I'm an addict. That don't mean they gonna stop smoking. That just means that they telling you they an addict. You
Yeah,
get what I'm saying?
yeah,
Then it goes back to personal. Okay, yeah, you are an addict. So what are you gonna do to fix it?
yeah,
You
yeah,
know, and
yeah,
you can't fix it for them. I can't fix it for them. They have to fix it for themselves. And
yeah.
that's where my suggestions come in. I have them look
Mhm.
at life. Hey, this is your options. You know what I'm saying? You can choose to try to be, a better person and work your job and do what you got to do, or you can choose to continue to use drugs, and it may be the death of you. We don't know. You
Yeah.
roll the dice.
Yeah. Yeah.
But everybody, I tell people all the time, everybody is free to make whatever choice they want to, but they're not free of the consequence.
Mm.
You can choose to do whatever you want to do, but you're not free of what the consequence is going to be.
Oh man, that's so good. That's so good. Okay, we coming up in our hour, y'all. So we wrapping up. So you got questions? Please put questions in the chat. I already see a question that's in the chat that we're gonna ask later on. So there's two things I want to ask you. One, when we're seeking a therapist, what should we look for? Like what will be a good therapist for us to look for?
Well, it's just like seeking a job. You want somebody to be fair. You want somebody that that you can talk to or relate with. And most therapists have like a 10-15 minute consultation. And you can, depending on your questions, you come with, your questions. Are you able to do this? Are you specialized in this? So if you want a trauma therapist and you go talk to a therapist and they said all we do is work with anxiety, is that the therapist for you? Probably not. So you have to be able to identify, the things that you feel like you want to get out of therapy. And sometimes you get into therapy and things are going well and then you quit. You know what I'm saying? You quit your therapist because guess what? You get to a point where one, things are too familiar, or two, it doesn't, you're not getting anywhere. You get stuck.
Yeah.
I have even let clients go because they get to a stuck point. And I just know within me, if I'm going to be, all that I can be and what God tells me to do, then if you're not getting nowhere and you've been stuck for 3-4 months, then I'm probably not the best person for you anymore. You know what I'm saying? You might need to go talk to somebody else. And that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Because my goal is for you to get better.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about me. You know what I'm saying? Yes, it could be a lucrative field, but I'm not here to make money. You know what I'm saying? I'm here to make better people. For people to look within their self and say, I am okay. I am okay. Because people done told me I was stupid or dumb or, crazy all my life. You know what I'm saying? I'm more of a motivator. Like, look, you're not, and this is what we have to do. Or this is what you should do. Write down your therapy goals. I'm a very goal-oriented person. I'm all about some goals. I like people to write their life goals, their therapy goals, all of that. Because I'm a strong believer. If it's not black and white, it's not going to happen. Period. It's just not going to happen. You have to write it down. So that's kind of where I'm at when you were looking for a therapist. Write out your goals and then talk to your therapist or the therapist you're looking for. Ask them, can you do this? And an honest therapist and an ethical therapist is going to say yes or no. I had turned down, and I really wanted to help the young lady, but there was a lot of, trauma and kind of a high profile case, a lot of in the courts and all that stuff. I don't like dealing with courts like that. But she was like 15 or 16 years old. But the reason why I turned her down is because I couldn't give her all of me because of my other caseload, and I knew she would have to need me more than an hour a week, and I couldn't give that. So I didn't want to even open up Pandora's box to say sorry.
Yeah, I like that. I like the honesty, and it shows with you saying that. It shows the integrity of your business, because that's like me. Like, I'm a hairstylist, and if anybody come to me with some off the wall hairstyle that they want, or something that I tell them, listen, I can't do it. Like, if you want me to try, I try because I'm all for it. I watch YouTube all day to try to see if I can do it. But I just know there's certain things that's my specialty that I do all day with my eyes closed. Like when it comes to
Yep.
box flats or different things. But if you ask me do some off the wall stuff or hairstyle, I can't. I'm sorry. I'm going to tell you I can't do it because knowing that you are my display, and when people see your hair, they see my work. Like
Yeah.
I'm not going to play. So the same thing with you, knowing that when you're helping lives, and you don't want to be the person that's responsible for not really doing your part and giving all you can got, knowing that you're capable but just not be able to do it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
wrapping up, I want to ask you this question.
Okay.
So how could Black and Brown community pursue the profession of mental health, and what will be some of the factors that will be challenging for us to overcome in being successfully professionally? I know
First
that's
of
a true
all,
one.
like we said, like we mentioned before, it has to be marketed and advertised for the
Yeah.
Black and Brown to even see that these are options out there to
Mhm.
become these professionals,
Mhm.
um, and I don't know. I really don't know how to overcome that without being the person that's at the career fair or being the person that puts it puts it out
Mhm.
there. I think it just needs to be more representation in the community, showing people that, therapists are okay. Therapists are okay. So, after seeing some clients, like my younger clients, they be like, I want to be just like you. I want to be a therapist. You
Mhm.
you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's just, pretty much therapists, counselors, school counselors, teachers is to be a model right now. I
Yeah.
mean, at this point in time, I think that's all we have is to be a model and
Mhm.
let people make people aware that counseling is okay, you
Mhm.
know,
Mhm.
and try to have those resources out there. And but school is a lot too, and let's be honest, up until recently, this field didn't make a lot of money. So if and you gotta go to school for 5 6 years to make not so much money, that's probably not gonna be a profession I'm gonna pick. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? you
Yeah.
gotta really you gotta really like you gotta really like it,
Yeah.
because I sit here sometimes and I'm like, I should have been an accountant.
What?
I should have been an accountant. With you when you think
Yeah.
about money, but you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So you have to
Yeah.
be able to, get it from the heart. You
Yeah.
have to be able to love what you do,
Yeah.
and like to see people succeed. And that's where what keeps me going. I
Yeah.
like to see people succeed,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that. I love that. That's so true. Like we got to be real and honest about a lot of professions that involves touching hearts and touching people.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get a lot of a high compensation for it. Like,
Nope.
counselors and teachers and education or therapists, like you have to literally get out of your box to be able to make like that type of high level,
Yeah.
money. Like you gotta love, like I had a friend that asked me to tell her daughter what it is to be a teacher, like, because she wanted to be a teacher. Can you give her? And I said, you really want me to tell her? Do you really want me to tell her? She was like, yeah, because I said, okay. I said, first thing I told her, I said, is this your heart's desire? Is this what you really want to do? Because, honey, when it comes to compensation, sometimes the reward is just knowing that your children made it out,
That's
and,
it.
and they
That's it.
succeeded, and they graduated and they live in their life, because that's the highest paying reward that you will get.
That's it.
Okay? I
That's
mean,
it.
I'm just
That's
saying,
it.
because honestly, that will make you sleep at night, because the money ain't gonna make.
It's not. It definitely is. If you looking for some money, that's not the profession. That's not the profession.
I'm telling you, got to love what you do, and you got to be a people person.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta have a heart for people and see people change, and love to even be in anything mental health wise. Because
That's right.
like, do you agree with all therapists having their own therapists? Because I hear that a lot.
I do feel like for you to be a good therapist, I think that you should have, you should have went therapy, done therapy, or have a strong therapist mentor, that a colleague or whatever, a mentor. I have a mentor.
Mhm.
Um, I did therapy honestly with just while I was in college, you
Mm.
know. So yes, I do agree that it, especially the reason why I agree with it, because a lot of people go into therapy to fix themselves,
E.
and I don't think that that's fair for your client. That I'm pretty much
Mhm.
kind of some counter transference because I have daddy issues or I have mommy issues and stuff like that. So I feel like if you're a good therapist and you know that there's probably some issues that you might need to talk out, then you probably should talk them out. You
Yeah.
know, be honest with you, I even done counseling with several therapists.
Mm.
So, a lot of them come and they seek help, and I
Mhm.
love it. I love it because we carry a lot. We carry
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you have to get something. You have to have an outlet as well. You
Yeah.
know,
Agree.
I mean,
I,
I didn't heard some stuff that I wish I just never wanted to hear again. You know what I'm saying?
mm.
I didn't
Mhm.
sit in sessions where I held back my tears. You know,
Mm.
but then I sat in some sessions where I couldn't hold back my tears and I just cried. I'm human.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just you have to have a mentor. You have to have an outlet as well. You have to have an outlet.
Yeah, yeah. Especially if you can relate to what that person go through, like, and you went through the stuff. It's like you said, the counter transference is real. Like, I think that's
Right.
probably one of the biggest things, or, having too much self disclosure is one of the hardest thing for
Yep.
somebody that's in counseling or therapy, because you want that person to understand, hey, I know what you're going through. Like, I've been there, but at the same time, again, me realizing, remembering what one of my professors said, that you can go through the same thing somebody else went through, but that doesn't mean that their experience is the same as yours.
That's
It's
true.
totally
That's
different.
absolutely true.
It's totally
That's
different.
absolutely true.
So I have to remember that when I'm talking to my students and counseling them, even though when they're going through certain things that can relate to me, like, I know how much self-disclosure to give, or I know, okay, I can't say that. It's because then it can turn into you, the therapy or the session turning into you and your
Yep.
story and what you're going through, and the kids sitting there like, well, dang, like, I feel bad you even
Yeah.
go.
Like, well, I have my session now.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah. But
yeah,
those also go with boundaries as well. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, just like a client has to have boundary, or a person has to have, therapists need to have boundaries as well.
yeah, yeah, you're
They
right.
have to. They
Yeah.
have to.
Wow, this has
Mental health.
been amazing. Like, I feel like we don't have, it's already 9:12. And I feel like we just don't never have enough time on the show when we get
Right.
it.
Never. Yeah, I can see that. Especially you talking about mental health. I mean, I could talk about mental health for the rest of my
Oh
life
my
and
gosh.
still not hit every topic.
I know it's so hard to like dig into it and talk about everything in one sitting, but I just wanted to make sure that, starting this month off, with the first conversation about mental health, that we're able to get as much information out, especially to the viewers, so they can have something to go off of. But before we go, there are some questions in the chat if you can address
Okay.
them. And I'm going to pull it up. I see about a couple. So, again, at this time, if anybody else that's viewing and watching and have a question, please put in the chat at this time so we can go ahead and do our best to answer it for you. So the first question I see here is, what is this? Where is it? Okay, so from Judy, she said, so what are some of the questions we should ask to assess if we need to change those we do life with?
So when we're saying assessing that for people that we do life with, are we talking about our spouse? We talking about our children? I mean that will be, it'll be two different things to do,
Mm-hmm.
but as far as your spouse, just be open and honest about what you see, and become respectful with them and say, look, I've noticed this, that, and the other. Of course, most men are not gonna, no, you don't, no, you don't, even though you see it, no, you didn't, so, and a lot of men are not emotionally connected. So that's kind of a rough one. So a lot of it is just you knowing your spouse, to be
Mm-hmm.
honest with you, and how to have those hard conversations. When it comes to a child, I like, as far as I just try to be involved as much as I can. I ask questions. You got boyfriend? What you doing? Who you talking to? You know what I'm saying? And but I use it in like a fun manner, so she don't think that like, yeah, you just nosy, But
Mm-hmm.
that's what you have to do, and just always kind of keep your eyes open as much as you can, because a lot of this assessing is just observation, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
If your spouse was coming in and he'll come eat dinner, take a shower, go to the gym. If that's what that's what he's done all along, and then he stops coming, he comes in and just goes to bed. Yeah, that's probably a problem. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? So a lot of assessment is just observation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You mentioned something, and I want to piggyback on that and ask you. So, do you think it's healthy for people in relationships, like couples, to seek therapy separately or
Okay,
together?
it doesn't matter. This is my rule, is that if I'm doing couples therapy with a person, then if they want individual therapy, they got to seek individual therapists, because I don't want anybody to ever feel like I'm, biased. Also, if I started with an individual session, individual counseling, I'm not going to do couples counseling with you. You should
Mm,
seek another person, because my whole thing, I want everybody to feel like things are fair.
yeah.
And I can, because I would probably be that same person, like, well, it seems like you leaning side because you guys had a conversation yesterday. You get
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So everything, when I'm doing couple sessions, everything is put out there in the couple session. It's not an individual. We're going to talk individually. We're whatever's we. That's probably the problem anyway. We're not
Yeah.
communicating, or
Yeah.
we tiptoeing around things. So we talk about it in the open.
Yeah.
That's how I do. Now other people, have a session with, the wife, the husband, and then have the session together. And that's absolutely fine. I'm not knocking nobody anything, but that's just not how I do it.
Mm-hmm. But so with that being said, you think it's healthy for couples to have individual therapy, like go get therapy individually for themselves? Because I mean, you got two people coming together in two different worlds. Like, what do you do with
Hmm.
somebody that's seeking therapy because they want to grow, they want to be healed, they want to be able to deal with their spouse or the person that they love, significant other, in a way that would benefit the relationship, but the other person is like, don't feel like they have a need to do it. Like, would say
Yeah, you should
something
seek
like,
therapy.
why do we have to go to therapy? Like, why we gotta pay people? Like, like what would you say about that type of relationship?
Well, so I mean, it's no difference in a person don't want to go to church. You know what I'm saying? I mean, let's be honest. However, I feel like if I like, it's all about modeling. So if I feel some type of way about something, that doesn't necessarily mean my spouse feels some type of way about that something. So I probably should go work on me, and a lot of times people confide into their spouse, and I'm not knocking that, and you should, because my spouse, that's my homegirl boy. You know what I'm saying? He'd be like, don't call me girl, but I get caught up in my conversation. I'd be like, girl, I'd be like, sorry. I'd be like, I'm sorry.
Come
But
on now. That's right, bestie. Let me stop.
yeah, for real. But at the same time, your
Uh-huh.
spouse is not your counselor.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's a lot on them too. You gotta think about that as well. How much am I bringing to him or her? Am I weighing them down? When I should seek professional help.
Mm. Yeah, because some spouses don't be wanting people to go to therapy for their own
They
self,
sure
but
don't.
I be like,
They
I'm
sure
trying to
don't.
go to therapy to make sure you survive. Okay. If I feel like I need
Right.
therapy for us to survive, but hey, that's another story. Um,
Yeah.
I have two more questions. So if you are broken, how would you be able to help others? Your problems will leak into your clients' sessions. I think you answered that though. I think this was a statement. I'm sorry. This was a statement. All
Okay.
right, sissy
Okay.
poo.
Okay.
Okay.
All
So
right.
basically, she's saying if you are broken, how would you be able to help others? Your problems will leak into your clients'
Yep.
sessions, like you were saying about therapists needing. I was asking about therapists needing.
Therapy.
Yeah. Um, I think this may be the last question. Are there sites, departments that will assist budget sensitive persons who want to seek ongoing counseling?
Yes, actually. Like I said, with this now, there's not a lot of everybody is full when it comes to counseling.
Yeah.
However, a lot of counselors that they have a sliding scale. I even have a sliding scale as well, where it assists you. Insurance is always a great thing, and there's some people just offer free services, but you got to be able to find it. What I suggest that everybody does is go to Psychology Today. On Psychology Today, you can put in whatever your address is, your state, or whatever, and every therapist will come up that's on Psychology Today. And then you can
Mm,
read their bio and kind of go from there. And it breaks down to if they accept insurance, do they have a sliding scale, how much do they charge? Not every therapist is in a box. Not every
mm,
therapist is going to charge $150 a session. So it just really all depends on a therapist.
mm, mm. I hope that helped, Judy. So I see that was the last question. I don't see no other questions in the chat. So before we leave, I just want to just leave some resources and then Miss Crystal's information. So first, anybody that needs immediate help in a crisis, please call 911 if you know somebody or yourself is in immediate danger. And then there is a 988 suicide and crisis lifeline if you are someone that know that is struggling or in crisis, so you can call or text 988 or chat 988 lifeline at .org. I'm going to put all this information in the chat after the live. Also, again, 988 is a confidential free crisis service that is available to everyone 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. The Lifeline connects people to the nearest crisis center in the Lifeline National Network. These centers provide crisis counseling and mental health referrals. And so also you can text the crisis text line that says text hello to 741741. 741741. That's open 24 hours, 7 days a week throughout the United States, right? That through the United States. And so there is so many. If you go on the floridahealth.gov network, or if you type in resources for mental health, you can pull up, it has a whole bunch of information and numbers and contact information, or of course like the national helpline 1-800-662-HELP. That's 1-800-662 4357. You can call that as well. And so for Crystal's information, anybody that needs Crystal, she is willing to have, and I have her information here that I can put up for you guys. One moment. So this is Crystal's information for anybody who may need it. Again, she is a licensed mental health counselor. She's verified by Psychology Today. You can call the 1-813. I'm sorry, I don't know where 1-800 come from. 813-294-9128, or email her at growingthroughchanges@proton.me.
Yeah, Proton.
Proton.me. And so she's offering a free 15-minute consultation to anybody that needs it. I also have the link of ABC Action News .com, where she did an interview in regards to COVID. And so again, her approaches to treatment is eclectic and includes cognitive, behavioral, and mindfulness techniques. So again, she's available for anybody that may need it. I'm going to have all of this information. I'm going to include it in the chat. Crystal, before we leave, is there anything that you want to leave with the viewers? Any last thoughts? Anything else we should know about you and how to reach you? Again, I know you mentioned to me some things you did with the video and other things. If you want to mention that as well, that will be amazing. So I'll give you the floor.
Well, with the video with the ABC Action News, it was just called upon as COVID. When COVID was going on, I linked up with University Area CDC, which is usually is a socioeconomic disadvantaged neighborhood, where I offered 6 weeks of free counseling to men, women, and then I also did children. It's several different sessions, and it just kind of talked about stress management, anxiety, depression, just kind of introducing what these things look like and helping them understand what these things are. But what I really want to leave with you guys today is that everything is temporary. Things are only as permanent as you make them. And so hold on. Change will come.
Yes.
But change has to start with you.
Jesus, I'm about to throw my towel. That's a word.
That's it. And and LaToya, I want to thank you for even having me on here. It's a much needed dialogue. A lot of people don't know the ins and outs of therapy, or it's nice to hear a person of color talk about therapy as well, because before, when I was younger, I was like, I never had a black guidance counselor, a black none of that, so it's nice to know that there is some representation out there. However, we need a whole lot more.
Yeah. So basically what she's saying to the viewers, if you have a heart to help people and you feel like God brought you on this to listen to this, like this is your last and final sign to going into counseling and therapy. Listen, it's never too late to start. It's never too late to start. I'm telling you, I'm almost 40, and I'm just graduating in December with being a school counselor. So don't waste time. We need you. People need your story. We need your compassion. We need your love. We need all of that. So please, please, please go back to school, get into a program so we can get more representation out here. And so I'm going to leave the live with a prayer. I'm going to pray out for those that are watching, especially that's struggling right now. And so, Father God, I thank you for this live. I thank you for what has been said, what has been done. Lord, I pray that every viewer that's watching right now, I pray that you will touch them right where they at, Lord. If there is somebody that's sitting on their bed, contemplating giving up, or just having a hard time and feeling overwhelmed and stressed out, Father, let them hear this live tonight. Help them to understand that they are loved, they are needed, they are wanted, they belong, they are accepted, that they have a future, and that, like Crystal said, this is just only temporary. Don't just think of your situation as a permanent situation. There is light at the outside of the tunnel. Your change is coming. Weeping may endure for night, but joy does come in the morning. And so even though you're feeling heavy burden and you're feeling depressed and you have an anxiety and all of these different things that's going on, just know that you are loved and God does see you. God does care about you. He wants you to know that he has a plan for you. For he said his plans towards you is good and to bring you to an expected end. So Father God, I ask now that you will surround them with your love and with your compassion. Holy Spirit, be with them, fill them, guide them. Lord God, right now, have them to put the pill bottle down. Have them to put the weapons down, God. Have them to, Lord God, if they have to cry, let them cry. But Lord God, I pray that you will bring community around them, people that are healthy and whole, that will build them up and that will encourage them and that will love on them and show them that they are needed in this life. So Father, I thank you now for everything that you're doing. I take no credit for what you're going to do. I give it all to you. This is what you want to do, and we give you all the glory and honor for what's to come out of this. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
And amen. So ladies, gents, everybody, thank you so much again for rocking with KLU tonight. I honor and cherish you, and I ask that you meet me right back here again next week for another show on KLU. I will have another guest that comes on that's going to share her story about overcoming grief. So thank you guys tonight for being on the show and watching and reviewing. Until next time, bye.
Thank you for watching another episode of Kingdom Language Utterance. Please subscribe to our YouTube page and hit that notification bell on YouTube and Facebook to be notified of our upcoming shows. See you then.
For you.
Thank you for watching another episode of Kingdom Language Utterance. Please subscribe to our YouTube page and hit that notification bell on YouTube and Facebook